What's going on, all you Andrew Scott enthusiasts out there? Your two favorite TV critics are back today, and we're back to review a brand new Netflix original limited series. It was supposed to air on Showtime originally back in 2023. It ended up at Netflix, and me and Uncle Logan here were able to binge all 8 episodes. It's directed and written by Steve Zalian, who works closely a lot of Scorsese films. He's directing Andrew Scott in Ripley.
These wild uncles are back. We're talking about Ripley. There was a film called The Talented Mr. Ripley back in the 90s. Jude Law, Matt Damon. Flick I never actually saw, but I remember it coming out back in the day. But it's basically the same characters here. But Andrew Scott playing Mr. Tom Ripley, living in New York and essentially meeting this guy's dad, given the job to go to Europe to, find the son, live in this lifestyle, bring him back to America to New York.
We see Ripley in the 60s in New York, and he's a con man. That's how he makes his living. He's a very good con man, just a grifter, though. He doesn't make like big scores or anything, but, little con jobs here and there. So we see Tom meeting Dickie Greenleaf's father, and his father saying, "Hey, my son, he's just moved out of the country. I've lost contact with him. I kind of just, want to know he's okay, if anything. Maybe tell him, I really want him to come home at some point. Haven't seen him in a while." So Tom, he agrees to it basically, and he's going to be given money to do so and basically paid for his services here. And, he has nothing else going on but be pulling cons all the time. So he agrees to do it. And he ends up in Italy, a beautiful setting. Series stands out right away for the cinematography, and it's all in black and white. It just saturates your eyes, and that's what I was, drawn to right away, was the whole look of it and just how beautiful the setting was and how the cinematography and camera work was on display. It's beautiful to look at and something you don't want to take your eyes off of.
And the Oscar goes to Ripley. I mean, this is like an Oscar award-winning, miniseries, I guess, TV show. Even though it's not a movie, it's just a gorgeous cinematography. It's absolutely stunning. The production design, costume design, the whole setting, 1960s, going to Italy. Just a beautiful looking show, a place you want to be at, and it really sets up, the character of Tom Ripley and what he's all about, going to look for Dickie, and people he comes across and meets.
Guess who pops up? Dakota Fanning.
Who?
The little girl we remember all those years ago. Denzel, Man on Fire, Dakota Fanning, but now she's all grown up and in a new role here. She's Dickie's girlfriend, Marge, and Tom eventually runs into him on a beach one day, both the couple, Dickie and Marge, and strikes up a friendship with them. He kind of discusses his situation, says he's just moved there, and he's kind of, doesn't have a place to stay yet. And of course, they invite him in and they become fast friends, and they're always hanging out all the time. And he notices that Dickie is a dreamer, and he's a rich dreamer at that. He must have got a lot from his father, obviously, to be able to move to Italy and live in this fantastic, oceanside, basically, I don't know what you call that there, but where he lives overlooking the water, looks beautiful. All the old Italian, stone buildings look phenomenal. And that's where Dickie lives. He's this wealthy kid who's kind of just living out his days, going out in a rowboat in the water. And, he's a wannabe painter, which is joked. There's a running joke throughout the series because he's not very good. Tom sort of notices when he's looking at his work, but he just has this, Dickie has this want of wanting to do something really special. He's just not really talented at anything. And that's what Tom kind of notices too. And eventually, over time, Tom gets this unhealthy obsession, and he starts being drawn into Dickie's life and wanting to kind of take over his persona. And one day they're out in the boat, and something crazy happens on the boat.
Yep, and you kind of see the downfall of Mr. Tom Ripley. In the beginning of the series, he's very charming, outgoing, You think he's really successful, but you really find out who the true Tom Ripley is here, and being obsessed with this person and what it does to him, and really sets up that cool scene you were talking about. And you just see the ultimate demise of Mr. Ripley and things he's up to, much like a sociopath.
Oh, geez. In the strongest sense, he's definitely a sociopath. As the series goes on and, they go past what happens out on the boat, he has to kind of evade capture now because there's a murder involved and he's being investigated by all these people. And the way that Steve Zellian wrote this, it just all every episode kind of flowed together. It like led one right into the other. You want to keep watching them. The story was really written tightly. There was a very cohesive structure throughout, and each episode, he gets closer to becoming, captured. And there's this Italian detective that's on his ass and is always, one step behind Ripley. Ripley's able to evade him. He's really good at evading the authorities and changing his identity and moving. He knows the right times to, get up and move, and he knows when people are looking for him. So he's definitely a world class con, and he really proves it when he takes over this different persona here. But that detective was really good too, and he spoke Italian. There's subtitles, so it feels very authentic too. It really feels like this American that's kind of in another country and has to learn the ways of the country, and is wanted for this heinous crime and is being pursued by this detective himself is pretty smart. He gathers the clues and asks the right questions and everything. He's just one step behind the whole time, and that leads all the way into the eighth episode of the season. And man, I was intrigued the whole time, blown away by this series. Really, it was fantastic. Glad I started this, and once I started, I didn't want to finish it till the end. It just felt like one cohesive long movie, really, is what it felt like. The 8 hours that we got, it was a good amount of time to be able to flesh out this story and really show the evolution and the de-evolution of Tom's character. Like you said, going from this, he was a convict, but he was likable, and then he just becomes a sociopath all the way up into the end. You see this change, and just a phenomenal show. I'm glad I watched it.
Watching this, it kind of reminded me of Walter White and Heisenberg is the best way to describe it. Beginning you like Walter White, and towards the end you don't. The same scenario here with Mr. Ripley, played by Andrew Scott. He was just so good in this, so compelling, so interesting, so terrifying. I think it was episode 6 was my favorite. It was just like on the edge of your seat, not knowing what's going to happen. Is Ripley going to get caught? And something that happens with this other character, and how he tries to get rid of that body basically.
He did a little weekend at Bernie's, didn't he? There,
weekend at Bernie's. That's absolutely correct. But getting the body down this old elevator that kept breaking out to the car, which was a Fiat, which I thought was funny back when they made those in Italy. It's basically a little ass car, like a little go kart, essentially really small. But trying to get the body out there, the detective's always on Ripley, and he's always one step ahead because he's super intelligent, smart, knows what he's doing. It's thought out, it's planned out, and you're not sure what's going to happen. But episode 6 is probably my favorite, and then of course the end was amazing and made me think and question more stuff. And but yeah, really well done show. I know I watched a few and recommended it to you to check it out because we're talking about it on the podcast. I believe somebody was talking about it. But yeah, glad I got around to checking this out. Binged it in a few days. Really great storytelling, production design, cinematography, cast. Yeah, just all across the board, directing, writing. Really had a great time with it, start to finish. Really amazing performances here, and I love the black and white setting. Dakota Fanning, Andrew Scott were probably the standouts. Johnny Flynn played Dickie, and a few other characters. Supporting cast is really good, and I love the setting in Italy and what goes down there. The ultimate demise of Mr. Ripley. So that being said, I'm going to give Ripley, currently streaming on Netflix, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 Andrew Scott hair pieces.
What a terrific series. This blew me away. This was one of my favorites of the year so far. Probably my favorite, I'd have to say. The most well done, series that I've seen thus far. And for Netflix to get this, it was a smart choice. This is one of their strongest series, since Ozark and, shows like that kind of since they went off the air. This is a big one, and this has the chance also to become a franchise because Ripley, based on a book series written by Patricia Highsmith, and I think there's 5 books in the series. So this is basically based on the first book. So there's a potential that we might see some more of Mr. Ripley in the future. Hopefully, enough people watch this, and hopefully, from hearing our review, you guys will give it a shot because I think that you guys will be into this show too. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. Beautiful to look at, well written, wonderfully acted. Everything's great about it. It's a lot of intrigue there. Keeps you interested all 8 hours of the show, and that's saying a lot, you know. So, with that being said, I'm going to give Ripley. I too am going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 Johnny Flynn hair pieces.
So I want to hear from all you wild convicts out there. What did you like about Ripley on Netflix? What didn't you like about it? Have you guys seen the talented Mr. Ripley from the 90s? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to stay in, subscribe. Also, check out these wild impersonators on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news and reviews.
It was a pleasure reviewing Ripley with you guys tonight. We hope you guys watch it. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section too. We want to hear from you guys about this show. This is, you know, a show that deserves to be talked about, and have a feeling it's going to come back, you know, around with the award season. There's going to be a lot more buzz around it too around then, and can't wait to see what it ends up, you know, the awards it takes home. So thank you guys for watching our review of Ripley, and until the next Cinephellas TV review, I'm Uncle Henry Scott.
And I'm Uncle Logan Myers signing out until the next TV review. Cheese.